I saw a clip of this on the internet. I saw a clip of this on TikTok that was going viral. And for those of you who don't know who this is, and I only know this information because of my wife, all right? Don't come from my head. And if you do, I'm flaming you on stream. But Taylor Frankie Paul is from the show Real Housewives of Utah, or TikTok mom. Something about Utah and Mormons. I don't know. But anyways, so she was on the podcast Call It Daddy, which is pretty popular on YouTube and Spotify. And the conversation came up about...
Get him, Sam.
What I do? The topic came up about interfaith marriage. You know what I mean? Like, what does it look like? Oh, Secret Life of Mormons. Okay, my apologies. The conversation came up about interfaith marriage and what it means to like be with somebody who does not believe what you believe. And I feel like this is a topic of great discussion because I feel as though, like, especially people who are kind of like older in the dating field, but not necessarily, settled or found somebody, it can be very easy to get complacent. And then in that complacency, they end up finding somebody or settling for somebody who is far below their standards or what the Lord has called them to be. You know what I mean? Not edifying at all. And so she makes a point, and I want to talk about it. Not just myself, but with Brother Jordan. Two people who are married and full-fledged members of the wheelchair ministry. If you don't know what that means, get married and you'll see what happens. So I'm about to react to Taylor Frankie Paul, the next Bachelorette. Y'all be sure to hit and like and subscribe.
I have those foundations, and I do preferably want someone that, does believe in God, right? Because when you're raising your children, and it can get confusing when one doesn't and one does. And I do think about those things, and that's where I also, I'll try to get to know them and where they stand on that. But I'm up for hearing their side of it, because I have been also told, look, you believe so firmly in something, and I can respect that. But there is also, I don't believe in it, and maybe you can respect that because we both don't have proof on it. And that's where faith comes in, right? I can't show you that it's real, but I can only believe, and that's faith. And then also there's a point that he can't prove that it isn't, right? And so I was like, that's a good take on it. Like, you're right. I can't prove anything, but I think the foundations of even Christianity is kind of all just the love, family, service, all the basics is what I really care about, and how you treat other people. I don't really care what religion you are. How do you treat other people? That is what I look at.
Before I do that, let me go and put this on.
Let him cook. Let him cook now. Let him cook. I said let him cook.
I saw it in your face, brother. Go in. Go in.
Are they plugging the Unwell drink? That's on. What's up with the attire? Is that their drink?
I think so. I think it might be her brand.
Okay, that's her brand. Okay, I've seen that in stores. That's cool. I try to look at the 360 picture here. Okay, they're plugging their brand. They don't want to ostracize any potential customers of their brand. And people just be talking, bro.
Yeah.
So
you about to get the good guy response. I'm about to give the bad guy.
No, I mean, okay. So in a walk, we're all walking. At our own pace. And if you ever run like a 5K or walked a mall and you walked around somebody and you're walking at a different pace, everyone is walking at their own pace. I can't. So she is confirmed Mormon.
Yeah, well, but she said she grew up Mormon, but she's not necessarily of that.
Okay. Yeah.
Like she ain't walking around, with
yeah.
7 other fellow sister wives and all.
Yeah, I mean, she makes a good point. I mean, I think the Bible speaks to, if you do all these things but do not love, then it, it's falling at deaf ears, basically.
Yeah.
You want to pay your tithes, you want to, sacrifice, you want to do all these things, but you're not loving your neighbor. That's a telltale sign of a warning or alert. I think she's right about that point. When I look at, the way the Lord looks at things from a vertical standpoint, like he sees his children. He's always calling his children back to him. Yeah. And people are walking at different paces and trying to find him. Yeah. But we're just so interconnected. There's so many distractions. There's, the Bible says that there's imitators. There's, all this sorcery, all this stuff to try to come in between, the Father and his children. And so I think for her, I mean, man, my opinion on that is like, God bless her, but there's also, we gotta, you know, take it into prayer. I think I can't give a real controversial take here because I may not have one. I would love to get to know them and, you know, talk to her, you know, with my wife present, but and just try to figure out what, you know, where she's at in her faith, because everyone is walking at a different pace. But I think for her, you know, trying to plug her brand, trying to, you know, get on the show, not to say something too, you know, some people have a hard time speaking truth, man, and they're still figuring themselves out. And with her being the next Bachelorette, she ain't trying to lose that check. You know what I mean? She's gonna have to go on dates with other dudes, different religions, and I'm not calling that show out, but I mean, like, how many of those marriages and stuff like that last from that stuff? So
almost none of them.
So, you know what I mean? Just call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
But please cook, brother.
Let me go ahead and put the
Let him cook. Let him cook now. Let him cook. I said let him cook.
Man, what the heck is she talking about, man? What's she talking about? Gonna be with somebody just because? No, chat. I ain't about that at all, bro. What? Okay, so they can for anything as long as there's love, this, then the other. How you gonna have all that if you don't have love itself? God is love, love is God. How you gonna have somebody who follows that the way it's supposed to be followed if they don't have God? Please tell me that. So that tells me that she's going on this just for a check, like you said. Like she's going on there for fame and just to get her TikTok followers up. Because what are we talking about? And I think it too is because she's been married and divorced twice. And she has kids. She wants that security. She wants that covering that every woman wants. You know what I mean? She wants that fairy tale ending. But I feel like because she's getting up in age, you know, this, that, and the third, she may feel as though, like I'll just kind of like, the standards drop, man. They get complacent and they start going for any and everybody. Because honestly, chat, I feel like if it wasn't for this opportunity on the next Bachelorette, she'd probably go with a garbage can for all I care. You hating? No, I'm not hating. I'm just saying. I'm saying it for what it is. Okay.
Do you think this? Do you think that people can ruin your witness when they talk like that on public spaces?
Can ruin my witness?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like if she talks about God in this way,
yeah,
people may get on here and look at it and say, "Oh, I guess if she's doing it, I can do it."
Yeah.
Okay.
1000%.
That's what makes you invigorated.
Yeah, exactly.
Or that's what invigorates you.
This video has 1.3 million views.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that means 1.3 million people saw that and was like, at least 50% of them was like, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense. You know, they don't have to believe in God as long as they have love." Come on. Yeah. Come on. And the thing that gets me about this too is that people in the church watch this, and even though they may have strong convictions that are, you know, still intact, having somebody of that kind of impact, of that kind of influence, especially for younger people, it may have them question that.
Yeah.
Or it may have them not be as strong about that conviction as they need to be.
The anger
as
is
far as Christ.
The anger is.
You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. What are we talking about? That's how we end up getting in these marriages and in these relationships that end up falling flat and dead. In the church itself, 50% of people get divorced. In the church itself. But it's because of that mentality of, you know, as long as I find somebody, I'm good. Because that's what that tells me when they say stuff like that. I just need to find somebody and I'm good.
Let me ask you this, brother. So
talk to me. Brother Jordan.
Do you think that someone who's speaking like that at that level deserves to, maybe not deserves, but welcomes the same amount of accountability as someone who you know is probably walking in the spirit? Like, I know you can only judge a person by their fruit. You just named her stats.
Right.
Kids.
Yes.
Divorced twice.
Yeah, Carfax.
So you shall know somebody by their fruit. And so do you think, yes, it is probably a negative, you know, for her to speak like this and for young kids to tap in.
Yes.
But does she like hold the same amount of weight as if maybe someone who's probably walking in step with the Father then has this opinion, like,
yeah, I see what you're saying.
Is it justified for you to have that reaction too?
Okay, so here's the reason why I'm justified in my reaction, and this is just based on what I'm saying. It could be total nonsense, but just in my mind, right? She is Mormon.
Okay.
I don't consider Mormons particularly of the faith.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Of the Christian faith for a lot of different reasons of their theology. Again, hit me on chat or you can be in my comments. Let's discuss.
Okay.
But if you're going to call yourself a woman of God, you're automatically placed with that responsibility of representing him in the public space and private.
Okay.
So with that said, the fact that she uses the word God, she's referring to the God of the Bible. Because she even says earlier on that she was reading the Bible and not the Book of Mormon.
Okay.
So if you're going to go that route, if she had stayed on Book of Mormon, okay, fine, whatever. Yeah. But to say, reading the Bible and then necessarily you had to be a Christian. Hold on, let me go back on that.
He can't prove that it isn't, right? And so I was like, that's a good take on it. Like, you're right. I can't prove anything, but
I agree.
I think the foundations of like even Christianity is kind of all like just the like love, family, service, all the basics is what I really care about, and how you treat other people. I don't really care what religion you are. How do you treat other people?
Let me pause it there.
Okay.
So honestly, if you look at the fruit of that, like you treat people well, you love.
Yeah.
Like if you don't do those things and you're a believer, is that like, would you, is it, not is it worse, but like, say she's gotten into relationships with, let's just say a Christian man, and God forbid something bad happens to her in that relationship.
Okay. Y'all like it so up?
And they don't love, her, they don't show respect to her, they don't show respect to the kids, but they're a Christian. Like, that's probably what she's saying is, like, these elements come first. Yeah. And then religion. Yeah. I don't necessarily agree with that. Right. But I do understand where she's coming from. What is your take on that?
That's a butt. No, joke. I just want action. But no, I get what you're saying, though. I hear what you're saying. And I do see her point of view in that. Mm-hmm. But it's just, for me as a believer, like, that's going to come first and foremost before anything. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, that kind of incenses me. It incenses me to hear that. Because like I said before, she's on a platform and she's giving a message that a lot of people are going to hear and take. Yeah. And then they're going to live that out in their own personal lives. Yeah. And then we end up with all these broken relationships because people didn't get it right the first time or like from jump. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, find somebody who loves the Lord and then have that up. Because, and I get the whole comparison of Christian not doing anything versus somebody who's not a Christian, but they're doing that. But even with that, right, we're called first to be Christians. Yeah. Or we're called for us to love the Lord with all your heart, soul, mind, all your strength. That's the first commandment, the most important commandment. Everything else flows from that. So that person who's not a believer, that cup's going to run dry very quickly. Especially given like a certain situation or a moment. Like that could like all stop. But as a believer, that you can still tap into, the spirit even when you feel as though you can't. And so while it is bad if a Christian, if he's saying he's a Christian then and he's not doing that, well then again, is he really a Christian?
That was gonna be my devil's advocate through it all. You know what I mean? But okay, yeah, that's tough. You know Joyce Meyer?
Yeah, I know Joyce Meyer.
My mom used to play her sometimes when I would get ready for school, so I would hear her stories. Same. And I remember she talked about marrying her husband, who was not a believer. And she prayed for him for generations or whatever. And then he became a believer. What do you think about that?
Missionary dating.
Is that not wise? I think, okay, what does the Bible say? All things are what? Permissible, but not all things are beneficial. That's the key here. It's always deeper.
It's always deeper.
Sure, you can marry somebody outside of the faith and the walk, but is it going to be beneficial for your life?
And this goes back to the theme of the stream. do not be unequally yoked with non-believers. For what righteousness and wickedness have in common, or what fellowship can have with darkness. Yeah. Literally what it goes back to.
And those two words, yoked and fellowship. Those are,
yes.
It's not to say you can't, spend time and be a classmate, be a friend.
Right.
Fellowship is a deep, ongoing, yoked is a deep and ongoing relationship where you're investing your, a lot of your time, a lot of your intention.
A lot of your money.
Money. I think missionary, friendship is even dangerous.
Let's talk about that.
I think, for me as an athlete growing up, I used to be a missionary teammate. You know what I mean? I've got plenty of stories of stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's your environment. You know what I mean? That's your job. That's your classroom. What they're talking about in the Bible, being yoked or being in fellowship, is that outside time from maybe your normal time of work, occupation, or work, school, and things like that. That's who I'm talking to, who I'm cupcaking at night. That's who I'm if you're entertaining that, you have no business to do that. It's just not going to be beneficial for your life. That's what the Bible's all about.
Yeah. God
has given us basic instructions before leaving earth. That Bible.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's beneficial. It's beneficial. He's trying to get you benefit. Sure, you can date. Sure, you can missionary. You can do all that stuff. It's not going to be beneficial for your life.